The tragic case of Sierah Joughin contains details that many among you may find disturbing or distressing. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome or welcome back to Dark Case Documentaries. We share original true crime content at least once per week, and we would love to have you here in our growing community. Our respect goes out to all those who knew and loved Sierah. Sierah Joughin, known affectionately by friends and family by the nickname C, was born on February the 11th, 1996 in Sylvania, Ohio. She was the first child of father Tom and mother Sheila. Sierah would soon be joined by 4 siblings, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. But Sierah remained their special little girl. She graduated from Evergreen High School, Fulton County in 2016, before continuing on to university. In the summer of 2016, Sierah was getting ready to return to the University of Toledo for her junior year in the College of Business. Sierah now lived with her grandparents in rural Fulton County, population of around 40,000, around an hour west of Toledo, where she was completing her degree from home. On Tuesday, July the 19th, 2016, now aged 20, Sierah spent the afternoon cycling in a rural area, down roads surrounded by cornfields, with her high school sweetheart of 7 years, Josh Kolazinski. This really did look like the classic all-American small-town romance story. Life was good. At 9:30 p.m. that same day, Sierah's mother Sheila arrived at her parents' house, where Sierah was now living, where she found Sierah's bedroom light was off, which was not the norm. By this stage, Sierah should have been home. Due to her tight relationship with her family and 4 siblings, Sierah would have informed them if she intended to spend the night somewhere else. Boyfriend Josh asked Sheila if Sierah was at home, and when she replied that she wasn't, he told Sheila that he had sent Sierra several text messages, but he had not heard back. He dialed her number, but the call went directly to voicemail. Sheila was at first a little worried, but when she heard from Josh at 10:30 p.m. that night, her worry quickly escalated to full-fledged terror. Sheila attempted to reach Sierra herself, but was unsuccessful. So she then walked outside to begin searching for her and called the police to report her missing whilst doing so. Almost in an instant, the world of Sierra's loved ones had been flipped upside down. Authorities now had to piece a story together. After the bike trip with Josh, Sheila told the police that from what she could tell, Sierra never actually arrived home. This means that Josh was the last person to have seen Sierra, so the police, understandably, wanted to speak with him. Both partners and the final person to see a missing person are often automatically seen as prime suspects by the police. Josh admitted to the police that he and Sierra went for a bike ride through some cornfields and on some back roads that day. Josh released a Snapchat video of Sierra from that day, in which she was riding her purple bike, laughing and looking happy. He claimed that he was riding his motorcycle at the time and that they travelled side by side until they got to a certain point on County Road 6, at which point Sierra announced that she would cycle the remaining distance to her house alone. Josh kissed her and then turned to head back down the road because his house was in the opposite direction. Josh last saw Sierra at around 6:45 in the evening. He promised to get in touch with Sierra later, but when he texted her once he got home, he didn't get a response. To the police, at this stage, Josh's story was adding up. Josh reported to the police that he had observed a suspicious large white van close to where Sierra was last seen about 16 hours into the inquiry. The van drove slowly, but when Josh approached it on his bike, the van would speed up again out of his reach. Josh was able to provide the authorities with a portion of the license plate number. It was traced back to a female owner. When interviewed, the woman claimed that she believed someone, Josh, was attempting to run her off the road. Police searched the van and used luminol, a chemical agent that reveals the historic presence of blood under blacklight, to look for any bloodstains. The conclusion being that the woman and the van were not involved. The van was a dead end. Police started attempting to trace Sierah's phone and Fitbit watch after noticing that she was wearing one in the Snapchat video that Josh had sent them. Police searched County Road 6 and the vicinity where Josh last saw Sierah at the same time. They observed some disturbance in a particular area of the cornfield. The stalks of corn had some breaks and some other damage. After an additional investigation and extended searches, authorities discovered Sierah's bike with blood on the handlebars just a few rows into the cornfield. Her grandparents' house was only half a mile from the location where her bike was discovered. Sierah's sunglasses were also located. Additionally, a screwdriver, a second set of sunglasses that did not belong to Sierah, and a motorbike helmet that seemed to be bloodied were also discovered. Despite the fact that Sierah was nowhere to be found, authorities assumed that there had been some sort of struggle given the disturbance, the blood, and the objects left behind. Rewards were now offered ranging from $25,000 to $100,000 for any information leading to Sierah's safe recovery. The authorities knew that time was of the essence. Police expanded their search area and contacted local residents because they thought there was a chance that Sierah had been kidnapped. She could still be nearby and could still be alive. One of these interviews that they conducted as part of their inquiries was with James Worley, a resident of a 3-acre property west of Toledo. He lived with his mother and brother and operated a modest engine repair business out of his house and surrounding structures. James D. Worley was an interesting character. Born on April 8, 1959, he attended Evergreen High School in Metamora, Ohio. Worley achieved a 1.59 grade point average, which is generally seen as low, which he credited to using and selling marijuana from the age of just 14, a substance to which he claimed he was addicted. James informed the authorities that he was aware of the area they were searching because it was where his motorcycle had broken down earlier in the day. He told them that he misplaced his fuses, sunglasses, screwdriver, and helmet. This obviously rang very loud alarm bells for the police officers interviewing him. He told investigators that he didn't steal anything or kill anyone without even being asked about those specific crimes. Police then promptly detained him and examined his premises in the light of what he had told them, as well as the fact that he had what looked to be recent markings on his arms and bruises on his legs. Could this be signs of a struggle? During the search, police found a lot. In addition to weapons and ammo, the police also discovered rope, tape, zip ties, handcuffs, video cameras, and film. Police also made one more disturbing find. They discovered what they described as being a makeshift dungeon concealed beneath high hay bales inside one of his barns on his property. Restraints were fastened to the walls, and there was a carpeted freezer containing what appeared to be blood. They also found several pairs of women's underwear, one containing blood. Sierah's DNA was subsequently found on a piece of duct tape and on an inflatable mattress also found in the barn. Additionally, there was a noticeable odour of cleaning chemicals and bleach. But Sierah was nowhere to be seen. This could perhaps all just be a very disturbing coincidence. More zip ties, a ski mask, 2 sets of handcuffs, rope and duct tape were discovered by the police when they searched his truck. On July the 22nd, 2016, James Worley was officially interviewed by the police. They were certain that they had their man. Although they thought Worley knew where Sierah was, he was unwilling to provide any information to the authorities. James Worley continued arguing that kidnapping, abduction and transporting a body would not be possible on a motorbike, so he could not be guilty of this crime. Later, on July the 22nd, 3 days since Sierah was last seen, there was a disturbing breakthrough in the case.
Sierra 7 tragically found what we believe to be Sierra's remains.
The Fulton County Sheriff says authorities located the body in an area around County Road 7 Friday night.
Positive identification will be made through either fingerprints or DNA, but at this time, we strongly believe that this is Sierra.
Sierra was a remarkable young lady with a contagious smile. She was a loving person who has touched many people in her life. We miss her, and we will always love her.
Just 12 miles from James Worley's house, in a cornfield along County Road 7 in Delta, Ohio, Sierra's body was discovered in a small, shallow grave in a cornfield. She was hog-tied, bound and gagged. Her ankles had tape on them and rope connected her handcuffed wrists to her feet. She was found in her underwear wearing an adult diaper. There was no immediate proof that Sierra was SA'd or R-worded. It was later determined through an autopsy that Sierra had died of asphyxiation. According to the medical examiner, it would have taken Sierra a number of minutes to suffocate to death. They believed the asphyxiation was caused by the placement of a large yellow plastic object in her mouth. It was also confirmed at this stage that there was no indication of SA in the autopsy. James Worley was now taken into custody and accused of aggravated murder, kidnapping, felonious assault, tampering with evidence, the possession of criminal tools, and carrying a firearm whilst having a disability that should have exempt him. He entered a not guilty plea to every accusation. Judge Jeffrey Robinson presided over the trial, which started in March 2018 in the Fulton County Common Pleas Court in Ohio. The prosecution put forward their argument. According to the prosecution, there can be no question that James Worley is to blame for Sierra's passing.
We got a few miles down the road and she told me that, she was yelling at me that she didn't need me by her side and that she was fine. And we were at a corner and I gave her a kiss and said bye.
Scott Hazelman, the prosecutor for Fulton County, requested the jury to just follow the trail of evidence. After telling them that evidence such as DNA samples, taped interviews with James, and cell phone location technology would prove to them that James Worley had abducted and killed Sierra.
And you're going to hear how she died due to mechanical asphyxiation. Because a yellow dog toy has been shoved so far into her mouth and tied in place with a rope that she could not breathe. And it was inserted with such force that it broke one of her teeth.
The court was informed that on June the 24th, 2016, at 5:03 AM, just 1 month before Sierra went missing, James Worley used a computer at his house to search for hogtied and teen. James reportedly spent the day of Sierra's disappearance using the same computer to browse and search for pornographic websites, according to testimony given in court. In his testimony, Detective Morford claimed to have searched James Worley's computer and discovered phrases, movies and documents associated with the username Jim, reasonably understood to be the username of James Worley. This user's profile had a password lock, suggesting the owner may have something to hide. Content based around the R word were amongst the search terms and films that Detective Morford revealed to the court. Others included forced, hitchhiker, stranded, helpless, and gag. All of these words could be related to the evidence that police found surrounding Sierah's murder. The prosecution put forward their account of the day in question. According to the prosecution, James rode his motorcycle outside after spending the day browsing pornographic websites and happened to see Sierah riding her bicycle home. Despite the fact that he knew nothing about her other than her appearance.
Before July 19, 2016, did you know the defendant?
No.
To your knowledge, did Sierra know the defendant?
No.
To your knowledge, did she have any reason to be over at his residence?
No.
He followed her and was able to run her off the road and into the cornfield. He then chased her into the cornfield where he struck her over the head with his motorbike helmet, according to their version of events. The court was informed that she may have lost consciousness as a result of this strike to the head. James Worley's helmet was covered in Sierah's blood. The prosecution told the court that they thought James Worley held Sierah in the cornfield for 2 hours, as indicated by the location data on his cell phone, and waited for it to get dark. He then left Sierah in the field where she was found, and according to their story, he rode home on his motorcycle to collect his van. This would counter Worley's claim that he couldn't possibly carry out this crime on his motorcycle. James Worley planned to drive back to the makeshift prison in the barn on his property after going back to the cornfield to retrieve Sierah. The prosecution's argument was that he hogtied and gagged Sierah inside the barn, and that the yellow rubberized plastic object he used to gag her accidentally caused her to die. The prosecution was unable to say with any degree of confidence what occurred to Sierah when she was in the barn. The prosecution told the court that they had evidence that Worley travelled 12 miles away to a cornfield and buried Sierah there in a shallow grave. The evidence was all pointed towards James Worley, the court was informed. James Worley's motorcycle was found to have Sierah's blood on it, and the ski mask, zip ties and mace were all discovered to have Sierah's blood on them as well. Worley and Sierah's DNA were both found on the duct tape, the prosecution informed the jury. James Worley's homemade dungeon that was discovered on his property contained several pairs of female underwear, journals and maps, as was reported to the court. On his property, a camera that was referred to as a nanny cam was also discovered. James Worley reportedly had no answer when the police questioned him about the blood they had found and taken in evidence on his property. He admitted to purchasing the feminine underwear from China via the internet as girlfriend things to the police. This was his explanation and excuses for what was discovered in his barn. Later, he admitted and possibly changed his story to use them to create amateur pornography. When asked who might participate in these amateur pornographic shoots, he admitted to the police that he might contact ladies using Backpage or Craigslist. Dr. Cynthia Baser, a deputy coroner for Lucas County, gave testimony for the prosecution. Baser conducted the autopsy. She concluded that Sierah was 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighed 122 pounds when she passed away.
From the lips to the back of the mouth was 3 inches, and between the upper teeth was 2 inches.
And did you measure the size of the yellow corn box?
I did.
And what was that?
She claimed that Sierah's wrists and ankles were shackled when her body was discovered. She spoke during her testimony about Sierah's physical wounds. Sierah sustained a cut on her forehead and contusions on her leg. In addition to having a hairline fracture in the back of her skull, Sierah also had a fractured upper left incisor in her mouth. According to Dr. Baser's testimony, Sierah had a yellow foreign object, which seemed to be a dog toy, placed in her mouth and bound around the back of her neck. She described it as a yellow oval piece of plastic that was 2 inches wide and 3 inches long. The court heard that given its size and placement in her mouth, the object would have obstructed Sierah's airways and deprived her brain of oxygen. She also put forward the theory that the act of pushing this plastic object into Sierra's mouth might have been the cause of her fractured teeth. According to Dr. Baser, the object caused Sierra to suffocate, and it could have taken up to 10 minutes for her to pass away. Dr. Baser was asked by the prosecutor if a motorcycle helmet could have contributed to Sierra's injuries, notably the hairline fracture in her skull, and Baser responded positively. In his opening statement, defense lawyer Mel Deck informed the jury that the prosecution could not possibly establish the case's basic facts beyond a reasonable doubt, leaving the jury, he said, with just one viable course of action. They ought to declare James Worley innocent. The defense lawyer said that James didn't recognise Sierra on July the 19th and didn't know who she was. They argued that the evidence against their client was insufficient. They acknowledged that he had abandoned his belongings in the cornfield when his motorcycle broke down, but they explained that this was why they were there that day. They cited a witness account of a man wearing red shorts in a cornfield. The jury was informed that even though police searched his premises thoroughly and did a comprehensive investigation, no red shorts were discovered, and it was their view that the police made an improper arrest.
Your time of death, July 22nd, and the time of death at 9 p.m. is the time the body is found and pronounced dead, correct?
Yes.
All right. So you have no way of knowing or telling us to a reasonable degree of medical or scientific certainty when the death actually occurred. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The defense informed the jury that there was an innocent reason for the makeshift dungeon that was found by the police in Worley's barn. The jury was informed that it wasn't a dungeon, but rather merely a barn room with handcuffs mounted to the wall. James fitted the constraints because he intended to utilise the space as a pornography studio. He had also performed a computer search for pornography because he was establishing a new business. Lawrence Kreis, an acquaintance of Worley, testified before the court. Lawrence said that James lived on County Road 6 and that they were friends. When asked if James ever mentioned explicit adult material, Lawrence said that they occasionally watched such material together after James's mother went to bed. Lawrence stated that he visited James's home once or twice a month. He admitted that James Worley had shown him the underwear that was found and that he planned to establish a studio for pornography akin to a casting couch. After 6 hours of deliberation, the jury found James Worley guilty. In order to determine whether he would receive the death penalty or life in prison without the possibility of parole, a sentencing hearing was planned. Worley spoke for 45 minutes during the hearing for his sentence, directing much of his speech towards Sierra's family. In his remarks to Sierra's family, he described her as a beautiful girl and said that everyone has been deeply affected by her passing. It is worth at this stage showing you the context of how Worley used beautiful girl.
Hello everyone. Since the onset of this thing, I have been instructed to remain silent and to say nothing. And that is good advice to just anyone who is in any kind of predicament with the law. The less you say, the better off you are. First and foremost, I want to say that myself, my family, everyone that I know is heartbroken for the Joughin family. Make no mistake. Now, the person who used my home, who found it after I lost it, I truly believe she was attacked, and then my big, goofy shows up with my body. He's got her subdued. I don't know where. I don't have those answers. He took that helmet. He left the palm print on the helmet. The DNA found under her fingernails, not my DNA. And during the 2-3 days he had Sierra, I believe she was what? Literally kept under subdued and kept under control. Don't ask me why she wasn't there. She was a beautiful girl, but she wasn't, and I'm glad.
Many of Sierah's family left the courtroom during the time Worley was speaking. He explained to the court that Sierah was not his victim. He claimed that he was set up. The defense requested to the judge that he be given a life term in prison rather than the death penalty. However, James Worley was given a death sentence. The judge informed the defense that he would have given James Worley a life sentence in jail instead if he had believed there was even a remote chance of his innocence. James Worley had been involved in several kidnappings before Sierah's. Prior to the death of Sierah, James Worley had previously received a conviction for kidnapping in connection with another incident. He was accused of kidnapping and felonious assault in 1990 after he forcibly kidnapped a woman who was riding a bicycle at that time. In that instance, James observed Robin Gardner, a young lady, cycling down a country road close to Toledo. When James intentionally collided with her bike and his vehicle, she fell into a ditch, punched her in the head, and hauled her into his truck, handcuffing her. Robin started to scream as he used a flathead screwdriver to slit her leg. He threatened to take her life. Robin was able to escape the truck's opposite side and sprinted towards a man who was nearby on a motorcycle. That man then took her home and she later reported the event to the police. When Worley was detained, he admitted to the police that he had just attempted to restrain Robin while she was attempting to flee the scene of an accident, and that he had not, in fact, attempted to kidnap her. Worley claims that Robin cut in front of him on her bike, causing him to collide with her. However, James Worley was subsequently found guilty of the accusation of kidnapping and received a sentence of 4 to 10 years in jail. But he was released after only 3 years. This kidnapping incident left Robin with a fractured skull, wounds, bruises, and a concussion. Her subsequent lifestyle was also altered by it. Following her ordeal, Robin stated, "I can't go hiking, I can't go bird watching. He took that away from me." James Worley will be put to death on May the 20th,